Insanity leads to inhumanity, resulting in violence. Hi, this is Asaziia Krichena, and you're watching Legal Bites. In this video, we're going to discuss what is a domestic violence, major causes of domestic violence, who can file an application of domestic violence to a magistrate, what are the rights that an aggrieved person have, what are the punishments of an accused, some important case laws, also domestic violence faced by men in the society, and finally some suggestions on how to curb domestic violence. Domestic violence is regarded as a cruel societal offence. According to the findings of the National Crime Records Bureau, a crime against women is committed every 3 minutes in India. In the live-stream court case of Depp and Heard, the jury announced its verdict in favor of Johnny Depp, and the jury ruled that Heard's accusations of domestic abuse were false. This case gained huge attention all over the world. It brought to light the subject that domestic abuse is not only perpetrated by men, but in some cases they are the victims too. Section 3 of the Protection of Women from Domestic Violence Act 2005 defines domestic violence. It says, for the purposes of this act, any act, omission or commission or conduct of the respondent shall constitute domestic violence in case it harms or injures or endangers the health, safety, life, limb or well-being, whether mental or physical, of the aggrieved person, or tends to do so, causing physical abuse, sexual abuse, verbal, emotional abuse and economic abuse, or harasses, harms, injures or endangers the aggrieved person with a view to coercing her or any other person related to her to meet any unlawful demand for any dowry or other property or valuable security, or has the effect of threatening the aggrieved person or any person related to her by any conduct mentioned in the clause above, or otherwise injures or cause harm, whether physical or mental, to the aggrieved person. Through the definition, we get to know that domestic violence can be of 3 types: physical abuse, mental abuse, and economic abuse. Let us now understand the major causes of domestic violence. The first is lack of gender sensitization, misogyny, patriarchal attitudes, alcohol abuse, and personality disorders. Let us now understand important provisions of the Protection of Women from Domestic Violence Act 2005. The Act of 2005, specifically its preamble, states that this act is to provide for more effective protection of the rights of women guaranteed under the Constitution who are victims of violence of any kind occurring within the family and for matters connected therewith or incidental thereto. Moving forward, let us see who can file an application of domestic violence to the magistrate. According to Section 12 of Protection of Women from Domestic Violence Act 2005, an aggrieved person, a protection officer, and any other person on behalf of the aggrieved person may present an application to the magistrate seeking relief under the Act. Now, what are the rights of an aggrieved person? Under Section 17, it says, the aggrieved person has the right to reside in the shared household. Second, Section 20 says, the aggrieved person is also entitled to monetary reliefs to meet the expenses incurred and losses suffered by the aggrieved person as a result of the domestic violence. Now we will see the punishments for the accused person. Section 498A of Indian Penal Code, whoever suggests women to cruelty shall be punished with imprisonment for a term which may extend to 3 years and shall also be liable to fine. Let us now look onto the case laws. The first, Lalita Topo versus State of Jharkhand and another. The appellant in this case was in live-in relationship out of which she had a child. The couple then fell apart and the appellant sought maintenance from her partner, which the family court of Gamlo allowed, awarding her Rs 2,000 and Rs 1,000 for the child per month from the partner. The partner made an appeal in the High Court, in which the court held the family court's decision to be erroneous and passed judgment in favor of the partner. The appellant then approached the Supreme Court. The three-judge bench consisting of the then CJI Ranjan Gogoi, Justice UU Lalit and KM Joseph observed that a live-in partner would be entitled to maintenance under the Protection of Women from the Domestic Violence Act 2005, despite the fact that she is not the legally wedded wife. Let us now move on to the second case law, Sandhya Wankhede versus Manoj Bhimrao Wankhede. In the case of Sandhya Wankhede versus Manoj Bhimrao Wankhede, after getting married in 2005, the appellant Sandhya lived with respondent 1, 2 and 3 for nearly a year, which caused problems in her marriage due to continuous disturbance. She filed a police report against her husband under the section 498 of the Indian Penal Code for assaulting her. In this case, the Supreme Court had observed and resolved the question by ruling that the provision section 2Q also includes women relatives of the husband or man partner from the scope of a complaint that can be submitted under the Domestic Violence Act 2005. Accordingly, complaints can be filed not only against the adult man but also against the adult women relatives. We shall now discuss on domestic violence faced by men in the society. The biggest myth is that only women suffer from intimate partner violence. The shield for women under the Protection of Women from Domestic Violence Act 2005 has created some problems for men. Under Indian law, a woman can file a case of domestic violence basically under the Domestic Violence Act and other provisions of the Indian Penal Code IPC and the Criminal Procedure Code CRPC. Men can seek restraining orders from courts which restrain their abusive partner or wife from taking wrongful advantage of the act. But there are no separate laws for men to register for violence against them. Men suffering from abuse and violence by their partner is much more than we can ever imagine. Almost 48.8% of men suffer from domestic violence, but only 20% of men register their cases. Why have men not been able to report these heinous acts? This is because they are ridiculed by social stigmas. Domestic violence is a deadly issue for all, and it is a dire need of the society as well as the government to look into the matter with utmost concern as earliest as possible. Let us now look onto some suggestions on how to curb domestic violence in our society. 1. The law at present is inadequate to tackle problem of domestic violence. The law should offer equal protection to both men and women so that women cannot misuse the law. 2. Widespread awareness about the Domestic Violence Act has to be created by the government and NGOs so that rural people become aware of this act and women belonging to all sections of society come forward to embrace the remedy provided by this act. 3. The court or legal procedure should be easy for the victims and proper protection should be provided to them by the authority. 4. Majority of protection officers are male but victims are females. Hence, government should recruit female protection officers for the benefit of female victims. 5. Proper implementation of the act and quick decision making should be done. 6. Medical facilities and shelter homes should be provided to women who receive injuries due to domestic violence. There should be proper security and privacy for aggrieved persons for shelter homes so that aggrieved persons can feel safe there. In the end, I would like to conclude by saying that domestic violence results in devastating physical and psychological effects on victims and their families. And it is crucial that we all take responsibility for recognizing, reporting, and preventing it. It requires a concerted effort from individuals and communities to prevent and address this issue at the earliest possible. It is up to all of us to stand up against domestic violence and make sure that everyone is treated with the respect, dignity, and safety they deserve. Today, anyone facing domestic violence should gather all their strength to stand up for themselves, voice out, and break the silence. Only then, this chain of suffering in silence will be cut off and the people of the next generation will live a happier and a life of prosperity. I would like to sum up with the quote of Racemate: "The enemy doesn't stand a chance when the victim decides to survive." Thank you for watching the video. If you like the content, please like, share and subscribe to Legal Bites.